Happy Camper Radio, episode 52. Come on, let's go camping. When you hear that music, you know that you have entered the camping zone. The one and only place to be when you're ready to talk camping, the Happy Camper Radio Show. We are back for episode 52. Daniel, how you doing today?
I'm here.
You just got your chores done. You did some house cleaning today. I'm proud of you.
That's what off days are for.
Well, about 15 minutes ago, you were totally out of breath, and I was really beginning to wonder if you were going to be properly suited to sit behind the microphone today.
Well, there's one rule you need to know, Skip. And a happy wife is a happy life.
A happy wife is a happy life.
That's all you need to know.
Is that because your wife is working?
Yeah, she's working, and I'm working on the house because I just like to make her happy.
Well, good. I'm sure you do that very well, because when she came over here a couple weeks ago and was jumping in on the program, I mean, it took her no time at all to sit down on the sofa and pull the microphone up, pull the headphones on. And
she likes to talk.
Yeah, she does at that.
Yeah, a lot.
Hey, we may get her back here next week because
be nice.
I have an episode, which I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet.
Okay.
But you and I have talked about it. You asked me what this subject matter was, and I wanted some ladies to weigh in, and I never heard back from you. Did you ever run that by her?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about the episode that I was going to do this week, but we're going to put it off for next. You totally forgot about it. But anyway, it's an exciting episode. I've already done the research on it. I know our listeners are going to enjoy it. And I
don't even know.
Right, yeah, you'll fit right in, Daniel. All right,
I'm with everyone else.
Yeah, okay, you'll fit right in. So will your wife if we can get her back over here to the studio. Our phone number is 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and add us to your circles on Google+. Of course, you can access any one of our social media sites very simply by going to our homepage, which is www.happycamperradio.com. It's all right there. Take some time to browse our webpage, and you'll find a lot of things you like. And don't forget to click on the RSS feed if you haven't already subscribed to the show. That's the way to do it, and you'll never miss a single episode of Daniel and I here on the program. Daniel, let's get the campfire lit right now, because you know something? Mm-hmm. The day we decide to go ahead and do this show, it turns out the weather is it's ugly out in our region of the forest.
It's a great day for podcasting.
It's a great day for podcasting, but it's also the kind of a day that I would much rather climb back into the tents, zip up the sleeping bag, pull it up over top of my head, and catch up on some shut-eye, which incidentally, I do need some additional sleep here.
You talk about that. When is that great American outdoor camping or backyard camping thing?
It is June the 28th of this year, and it's on a Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm going to pop up the old pop-up this time.
Okay.
I'm going to do it in style.
Hey, you're more than welcome to pull the pop-up into my backyard if you want to. There's plenty of room on the side of the house, or if you want to back it into your yard and we can podcast and participate in the backyard campout in your backyard this year. We got room and plenty of time to talk about that.
I'm a mailman, right, Skip? And I go around delivering mail, and I see a lot of trailers, in front of people's yard.
You put the guys up on your shoulder. You're the mailman,
Yeah. Okay. No, but I see a lot of trailers like in front of people's yard and like in their driveway and everything, and they have them all plugged in.
Right.
So I think this it's not really backyard camping, but I think this is like the new man cave. I think trailers in your driveway is the new man cave because they got the water hooked up, they got the electric hookup. I think that's where all the husbands go to escape from everyone else,
and they've got restroom facilities in there. They got
probably
running water.
These are some big time things. I want to get an attachment for my pop up so we can do that in my pop up because I love. My pop-up is just so comfortable.
If your pop-up or the travel trailer that you have in your dreams is going to be your future man cave, do not give Deidre a key. All right? No, she'll just take it from you.
We were thinking about storing our trailer that we get like somewhere else that's covered because we want to preserve it as much as possible.
I totally understand that too. Because, if you let the weather get to it, and the weather will wear it out, it will be almost no time at all when it's, it's going to be in the shop or you're going to be doing repairs on it. And that's something you don't want to do. I learned a hard lesson about that with my truck camper.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing some repairs on it right now. And I hope to get that done while I'm on vacation the week after next, because I want to go ahead and get that sold. And as we talk, Daniel, I am back to the primitive style camping.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to be interested in pop-ups or travel trailers. Maybe down the road, you never know what the future brings.
I got a quick question for you. This is straight off the cuff. Now, when we were down in Disney last year, our air conditioner went out. Do you think we should invest in getting that fixed, or just don't worry about it and bring fans? What do you think about that?
Well, that's a terrible place to have your air conditioner go out.
Yeah, it wasn't
but
too bad.
You managed okay.
Yeah,
we
weren't in there that long. We were in the parks and everything.
It all really depends, Daniel, how long, number one, you plan on keeping your pop-up camper, and number two, how many vacations you plan on taking down in the hot sun of Florida or places like it. Then you're going to have to weigh that option yourself as to whether or not you want to go ahead and get that repaired or replaced.
Yeah.
But anyway, Daniel, today we are going to be talking about a very interesting subject matter. And before we get into that, we've got some newcomers to the show. I want to say hello to William Cruz, who added us to Circles this week on Google+. Also to mobilerving.com, as well as Chris Buck and Puyallup, Washington, who likes us on Facebook. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being a part of our camping family here, the Happy Camper Radio Show. Glad to have every one of you on board. All right, Daniel, today we are going to be talking about campsite safety and security. And for our listeners who are new to the program and haven't had an opportunity to go back and listen to some of the previous episodes we did, be sure to check out episode number 38. And that's an episode I did on home security when I talked about how to properly secure your home while you are away. The last thing you want to have is your home and the safety and security of your castle on your mind while you are camping. And my law enforcement experience from many years ago kicked in when I did this episode, just like it is today. So, you want to be safe no matter where you're at, whether you're at home, whether you're on a camping trip somewhere. You want to make sure that everything that you do, everything around you is going to be safe and secure. And today we're going to be talking about that on our show.
I got a question. I don't think I was on that episode because I think that was like in November, December when I was crazy busy.
When you were in the doghouse?
Well, no, I was just working a lot. But
Okay.
I got a question. A few weeks ago when my wife was on the program, we did a thing about technology.
Right.
And I know with security systems, they have a thing where you can you have cameras in your house.
Exactly. And we mentioned that too the other
Okay, now, if you're worried about your house, maybe you want to check your phone to see if, your house is okay. But you're the type that doesn't like electronics. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, Daniel, you got to keep in mind too, some of the places I go camping do not offer internet service.
Yeah, that's true.
I am way back in the woods in a lot of cases,
That's
and
true.
there's no landlines, there's no cell phone signals, there's no internet. So electronics don't mean anything to me in places like that.
Well, the places
But
I go
again,
have Wi-Fi.
Like I did speak on that episode, Daniel, to each his own. Some people, like yourself, wrap yourself in the electronics, so to speak. And and that's okay if that's what you want to do. Like I was saying, I am just not one who wants to sit around the campfire singing campfire songs, listening to somebody who is talented enough to play a guitar, while at the same time hearing phones going off and people talking and watching people texting. That is not camping to me.
What if they play the guitar on their phone? Because they have an app for that.
No.
What?
No.
Come on. What if they play the banjo on their phone?
Daniel, I am an old-fashioned type of camper.
Oh.
And no, I am set in my ways.
I know.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, what I want to do is today talk about this particular episode, campsite safety and security. And I want to mention this here too. Some of you may say, well, why even waste the time talking about this? First of all, number one, In all the years I have been camping, ever since I was a kid, never once have I had a problem with theft at a campsite. Whether it was a public campground, a private campground, or I was just camping around some people who I knew. I never had a single problem. Now, I will go back and say maybe there was one time where I was out and about, when I was younger like you, Daniel, and I just could not sit still. I set up camp and I had to start running around and doing things. I came back and I suspected some campfire logs were missing. But of course, I do not count the campfire logs as I put them on the fire. So I may have been imagining things here.
I mean, I've been camping my whole life too, and I've never had a problem with this either. But, the thing I would probably suggest to people is if something's valuable, just leave it in your car.
Or don't bring it in the first place.
Well, yeah, that, but I mean, what's there to steal, really?
Exactly, and that's another point I was going to make here. Really, what do you have at your campsite that other campers don't have that's worth stealing?
Well, we did. We were up in Asheville one time, and we weren't camping, but we were in like kind of a shed / cabin kind of place.
You call that camping?
It was very primitive. It was like a shed with one electrical outlet, and we were trying to do a fire, and we went over across the way to ask some people if we get some of their firewood. But I mean, I don't know. It's just a different environment,
It really is.
Back in well. To tell you the truth, most of the time I don't leave my doors locked at my house because, I got you looking over me and, I set my alarm, but most of the time my doors are unlocked. Well, I know maybe I shouldn't say that on the show, but I mean, I don't like to think about that kind of stuff.
From an 18-year law enforcement career, and unless you have been in law enforcement, you will not be able to appreciate what I am saying. You are constantly looking over your shoulder. You are constantly looking for things that just aren't right. It's that sixth sense that kicks in.
Yeah.
All right. So, and believe me, hey, I look after your place just like I know if I were away, you would look after mine. And that's what being good neighbors is all about. And the same thing applies at the campsite. When you arrive at a campground, a public or a private campground, especially when it is busy, especially like on a weekend where you have other campers coming in, camping to the right or the left of you, you are going to be neighborly. You are going to introduce yourself. And if you don't introduce yourself first, they're going to come over to meet you. So you're going to get to know your fellow campers, and when you and your wife happen to go out and do some sightseeing or play volleyball or doing whatever, all right, your neighbors are going to look after your site. That's just a natural thing that happens.
Well, a lot of the places we've gone to, like where my parents, they have a permanent kind of setup where they are. They have a gate, and you have to have a code and everything.
Right.
And usually they'll have like a camp host. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yes, I'm very familiar with them.
A lot of campgrounds, they'll have a camp host, and they're kind of the security person that looks over everyone and and introduce themselves and tell you, hey, I'm the camp host, this is the campground, yada yada, and if you have any questions. So they're kind of like the security guard, so to speak. But not really. I mean, they're just there to, look over,
and a lot of them have a motorhome or a big travel trailer that's parked right there at the gate. And I really thought about this too, Daniel. I wouldn't mind being a campground host after I retire and I decide to do some serious camping on the road.
That'd be fun.
It really would, because you could stay at a place maybe 3 or 4 months. Take on that responsibility. You have a place to stay. And if you're an outgoing person like I am and like they are, you're going to want to meet people. And that's the perfect job to have.
No, definitely.
Yes. Now, the thing about public and private campgrounds, they are instilled with family-style camping. And you're going to find that most of the campers around you are going to be very neighborly. And you can expect the fact that a lot of these families are going to bring young children. They're going to be a little noisy. They're going to be wound up. They're going to be running around, especially during the way. You've got to expect that. at a campground, especially a family-oriented campground. So, I always say that, when you get there, take some time to introduce yourself to your fellow campers. Daniel, I have met thousands of people over the years, and granted, I will never meet them again. But it was a great experience to meet those folks, even if it was for just a short period of time, and to have them as my neighbor as I was camping.
I got a quick story here. So, we would go camping once or twice a year outside of our comfort zone, so to speak, like a state park or something. We'd do that, but we'd take one major vacation like to Tennessee or North Carolina or whatever, and we'd go out there and we'd set up camp and everything. And my sister would always be the one to find some girl, and they were best friends. And back then I was a really shy person, so my sister would make friends with this girl, and I'd be like, hey, how's it going?
One of the few things, Daniel, you and I have in common. There was a time in my life I was terribly shy.
Yeah.
I remember in the 5th grade having to stand up in front of my class to do a report, and I was shaking. I was nervous.
Yeah, it is nerve-wracking.
Yes, okay, it's amazing some of the things you overcome in time. But, getting back to the subject of, security at the campgrounds, like you were saying, the campground host is going to be on duty around the clock. And I have seen them out there riding around on golf carts, and they're not out there. They're not trying to be the campground police or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're there to help you. They're not out there writing citations, telling you don't do this, don't do that. They're very friendly and very outgoing, but at the same time, they are very observant.
Yeah.
If they see things that's just not right, yeah, they're going to step in and say something, or maybe even call the authorities if somebody shows up at the campground who has no business being there. And you'll find out that especially on a lot of the recreation.gov sites that we feature each week on the program, they will have on the website, if you look at it, and I don't bring it up all that often, but oftentimes after a certain hour they will lock the gates at nighttime.
Oh yeah,
Which means if you need to get out, you're going to have to wake up the campground host to get out. And it has its good points and bad points there. If you have an emergency, yes, you need to get out quickly. But at the same time, what if you're arriving late? I have arrived late before when I was young, when I was very unorganized. And I had to wake the campground host up, and he was not very happy about that, incidentally, okay? But no, I try to, observe the hours because they need their sleep, too.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is not really theft or, worrying about people stealing. I think it's the whole noise thing. I think sometimes people are up late, maybe making more noise than they should. And I know they have rules about, quiet hours from this time to this time. But I mean,
and we all need to respect those quiet hours too.
Yeah, definitely. But other than that, I mean, I've been camping. I mean, I'm gonna have to give you those pictures one day, but I could show you me in a playpen camping down in near Callaway
Gardens. Can I put that on the website?
Oh yeah, I'll get it. I think I have it at the house. I'll have to get you to scan that in and put it there. But I mean, the years and years I've been camping, and no one's been anything but friendly and helpful. I mean, I think it changes people. It really changes people. They're out of their element. They're in this other element, and they want to help you. I don't know what it is about that environment, but they want to help you. They will never turn you away.
And Daniel,
that's what I love about it.
Is what inspired this show. Because, the whole bottom line here is, granted, we want to have all of our listeners focus in on what we're talking about, not just the seasoned campers. And believe me, there are folks out there that have camped and are a lot more experienced than I am. But at the same time, there are people who have never allowed themselves to become exposed to camping and allow their children to become exposed to camping, and that's a terrible thing.
Well, another thing about the security thing, I know they have clubs, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but they have this it's an app on my phone. It's called Meetup, and they have different groups, like if you like dancing, if you like whatever geeky things. And they also have groups like camping groups. And a lot of people will get together, like 3 or 4, 5 or 6 couples at a time, and they'll go camping all at this one site. And I think if you have like a big old group like that and they know each other ahead of time, you really don't have to worry because everyone's got their back.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's always security in numbers.
Yeah, and let's talk a moment about the private campgrounds. I believe personally that the private campgrounds are going to be more security conscious than the public campgrounds, and the reason being is that the private campground owners don't need a bad rap.
Yeah, that's true.
They definitely are going to go out of their way to make sure that their campground is safe and secure for everybody. They'll probably have a sign posted, and in fact, when you check in at the office, they'll let you know right off the bat that they're not responsible for any missing or stolen items at your campsite, and give you some pointers on what you can do, just like we are today. But they will definitely go out of their way to make sure that your camping experience is going to be a pleasant and rewarding one, because they want the return business and they want the word of mouth advertising too. All right. I know I would if I owned a private campground.
Yeah.
Now, Daniel, there are a couple different styles of camping here I'm talking about today. First of all, you have your family campgrounds and you have your non-family style campgrounds. Your family campgrounds, generally, you're going to have more than one person at camp. Do I camp by myself? Yes. Do I have just as much fun as if I would have had maybe 3 or 4 people with me? Yes, because I'm so much into it. But generally, each campsite is going to have more than one camper, and kids are often found at family-style campgrounds. It promotes a family-style atmosphere. I would feel more safe and secure with my belongings at that campground than I would at a non-family style campground. And what is a non-family style campground? Say you're going to the races, you're going to the racetrack, you're parking out in a big parking lot with all the motorhomes and the RVs and the pop-up campers and the tents and what have you. You have people around you, and I hate to say it, Daniel, they get wild, they drink. Sometimes they get rowdy. These are not the type of a neighbor that you want to have camping next to you, but you've got to consider the atmosphere too. Also, non-family style camping would be football tailgating parties.
Yeah.
Some places you can camp overnight, some places you cannot. All right. Another one would be if you're backpacking and you're running into people on the trail that you've never met before. Hopefully, they're going to be good people for the most part, but you're not going to have the time with those folks to get acquainted like you would, say, if you had a campsite and you had people camping to the right and left of you. At non-family style campgrounds, you need to be a little more aware and a little more concerned about your belongings.
Well, I know that some Walmarts, they let you set up your stuff in their parking lot sometimes.
And I've seen that at our local Walmart here.
I think that's not really camping. I think it's kind of like the rest stops with the 18-wheelers, and they're just tired and they just need to pull off somewhere and sleep. So I think it's more of that as far as the people that we see in Walmart. But that kind of situation, I would kind of worry about my security and making sure everything's locked up, because people are coming and going all the time.
Sure.
That's the thing. That's why I think security at a regular campground is not that big a deal, because once you set up and once you got all your stuff laid out and everything, you're not going anywhere. If you're in a parking lot or if you're at a racetrack or these football tailgating, you can go in and out like that.
Exactly.
So it's not like you're there for the long haul.
And your belongings can grow legs too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But at the family style campgrounds, Daniel, I would worry more about animals coming up and stealing my food than I would people come in and stealing my stuff.
Like the raccoons?
Yes. That poor little raccoon. He was just hungry.
Have you told that story?
I don't know if I have or not, Daniel.
You should tell that story one day.
Yeah, I will get around to that. Yeah, but just in short, this is when my ex-wife and I were camping, and she went for the very first time. She agreed to help out. She was really getting into it, and the sun had gone down, and we had these concrete picnic tables at this campground. I was washing dishes. She was drying, and she was placing the dishes on this concrete picnic table, and I handed her another plate. She dried it off, turned around, and there's this poor little raccoon sitting up on his hind legs begging for food. She freaked out. It was time to go home. And she never did it again.
That's awesome. I love that story. Every time you tell it.
You had to bring it up, and I couldn't leave our listeners in suspense. But anyway, there are some things that you are going to want to secure, like your cameras, your laptops, your cell phones, other electronics. You could leave them out, Daniel, and probably they would be there when you come back. But why make it tempting?
Yeah, that's
That's exactly what you're doing if you're leaving items like that, expensive items, sit out while you're away. Some of these items are better left at home. Secure your high-priced items in your vehicle, out of sight, out of mind. Never place them on the front seat in plain view. Put them under the seat. Better yet, store the valuables in the trunk where it is locked. Make sure that your doors are locked inside your vehicle while you're away. And spare keys, Daniel, that is very important. I have spare key placements on my truck where nobody knows where they're at. And this is another lesson I learned a long time ago. I locked the keys in my vehicle with the engine running one time, and I had no way of getting inside. I had no tools. I didn't even have a coat hanger. And Daniel, out of frustration, I had to break the vent window on the side of the truck to get inside, and it cost me over $300 to repair. So yes, I always make sure I have some spare keys placed somewhere with wire ties underneath my vehicle. Nobody knows where they're at. They wouldn't even know where to look for them, but they're there in the event I have an emergency like that again. Your valuables, lock them inside your RV or your motorhome. Always be aware of your surroundings and who may be watching. Also, if you're bringing bicycles to ride for yourself and your kids, purchase some chains and some locks so you can lock them up in the event you happen to be leaving your campsite and you're leaving your bicycles behind. Daniel, it's been a great episode today, and we're running out of time. It's time now, however, for our featured Campground of the Week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Daniel, I was very excited when I pulled up this website because this is a campground that is not too far away from us. And if you and your wife ever want to go camping some weekend, let me know.
Okay. Because
I will be leading the way, and you can follow directly behind me, and we can even podcast from this location. It is beautiful. It is located in the state of Alabama. It is Clear Creek, and it is open now all the way through Sunday, November 2nd. And check out their season dates on the website, and you can find that by going to our homepage, which is happycamperradio.com, and clicking on the featured campground button. Clear Creek is located in the Bankhead National Forest. It is the largest recreation area on Lake Lewis Smith.
Oh, I've been there. I've been around. Oh my gosh, let me tell you this. It wasn't at this place, but around there was a coast to coast. If anyone knows that, that's like a camping business. It's a camping club you can join. But anyway, we went to a campground off of Lake Smith. That is the most clear lake in the world, and it is so
It is
awesome.
Clear.
It is
really
deep, nice,
and provides excellent fishing. So if you're an angler, 500 miles of shoreline,
definitely,
and lots of things to do at this campsite. Check out all the activities and amenities there. They've got boat trailer parking, paved parking spurs, non-motorized boating, jet skiing, a horseshoe pit, volleyball, playground for the kids. You name it. Check it all out on their webpage. Hey, one of the things you need to be aware of before you go. Okay, you need to make sure that the site you are going to reserve will accommodate your equipment, because if you get there and find out it does not, you're stuck with that site. You're not going to be able to move once you arrive. Okay, the gatehouse hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Day use area is open from 8 a.m. until dusk, but it's a great place to visit. It is Clear Creek in Alabama, and it is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And as always, if you have a campground that you would like Daniel and I to feature on the program, by all means, give us a shout here at 404-537-2267. Leave us a voicemail message, or you can email me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or
Daniel at happycamperradio.com.
Make sure you include a link to the campground website. Daniel, Had a great time with you here today. Let's forget about the rain. Let's hope for some brighter temperatures ahead and some sunshine. I've got a lot of things to do this week, so it better warm up a little bit. Don't forget, you can catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/happycamperradio. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker and add us to your circles on Google+. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper. All of our pets around here are happy campers too. And my friends, you can be the same. We'll catch you next week. This is Happy Camper Radio.